Hello and welcome back to the BDTV Breakfast Show. This is the big story right here on the show. My name is Elizabeth Musa. This morning, we turn our focus to a brewing standoff in Nigeria's energy sector. The Nigerian Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers, NUPENG, has threatened to down tools starting today, September 8th, accusing the Dangote Refinery of anti-labor practices, particularly over its stance against unionizing drivers of its new fleet of 10,000 CNG trucks. But in a surprising twist, the Petroleum Tanker Drivers Association is distancing itself from the strike call, describing it as insensitive, callous, and unacceptable. At the core of this dispute are workers' rights, union power, and the question of what this clash means for fuel distribution in Nigeria. Well, joining me to unpack this conversation this morning is Dr. Adeola Yusuf, a seasoned energy editor and industry watcher, is also the team lead at Platform Africa. Welcome to the show, Dr. Adeola.
My pleasure to be on the program today.
It's great to have you this morning, and it's good to see you after a long while. Let's talk about the conversation we have today. Give us the big picture. How significant is this fallout between NUPENG and the Petroleum Tanker Drivers Association?
Okay, thank you very much. To start with, Nigerians should cast their minds back to what we call the Eagle Scare Declaration of May 29, 2003, where the president declared that fuel subsidy is gone. And that is the effect of what we are still having now. We believe some of us that are watching from the sideline know definitely that as time goes on, things will continue to get shape. Before that declaration, the Eagle Scare Declaration, you know that what has characterized the oil and gas industry, particularly the downstream side of the value chain, is that there was this incessant fuel scarcity, fuel queues, panic buying, and tanker drivers strike. Those have been things that have characterized the industry until that day. And what Nigerians expected, is that immediately that declaration, came into effect, immediately we all agree, or we are all being subjected to buying fuel at the international price, and what I mean by that is that immediately we agreed to start buying not around 178 naira per liter again, but around 1,000 naira per liter. Everyone expected all these issues and cries, particularly that has to do with unionism and all that, to stop. So now, after the signing of PIA, before President Bola Tinubu come on board, we know that Nigerian oil and gas industry should, particularly the downstream, should be free of all these rancors. And I want to believe that the petroleum tankers are waking up to that reality late. Fact remains that Dangote Refinery is a private enterprise. Dangote Refinery, despite the fact that the owner of that enterprise is the Nigerian, what is paramount in his mind is to maximize profit and to get return on investment. So he has imported to make distribution of fuel by his company to be seamless. He has imported 10,000 tankers, and nobody will call a businessman for ensuring that his value chain is seamless. So he has imported, and another thing to this is that they are CNG powered. Another thing to it is that he is in place to employ drivers. So the tanker drivers, many people will not blame them because what they are just trying to do is to fight for survival. But fact remains that they are waking up to this reality very, very late. Immediately, President Bola Tinubu declared that fuel subsidy is gone, and private companies started work on the downstream, sector. They should have realized that a day like this is coming. But I will not personally fight anybody that is trying to ensure that the channel through which food is being placed on his table is secured. I won't fight anybody like that. But fact remains that no one will support a private individual, a private businessman that wants to ensure that his business runs seamlessly and effortlessly. No one will afford that kind of man. And it's a good thing that I heard that the president has intervened, trying to call them into a meeting. And another thing is that there is a factionalized aspect to this Hebrew because we have heard, from the news that some petrol tanker drivers are saying that that thing is not, they are not in support of that call for strike and all that. But even let's just play it like this, even if they are going on strike, fact remains that the president will need to do what he will do. But Dangote is a private enterprise. He has, what is going to happen is that they will disrupt the free flow of distribution to some filling station and not to some filling station. At the end of the day, Dangote, through the effort of MRS, will be the one to benefit, while other filling stations that will depend on the tanker drivers that are outside of Dangote distribution channel suffer for it. So that will mean that if they want to go ahead for this to punish Dangote, they need to think twice, because we are in a deregulated market now, and marketers are at liberty to do things, that will benefit Nigerians and will benefit, give return on investment to them.
Right. And then the crux of NUPENG's anger actually lies in Dangote Refinery's reported refusal to allow drivers to unionize. How really do you interpret this against Nigeria's labor laws and our international commitment?
Okay, thank you very much. It is something that they need to stand and fight for. But I will tell you that Dangote Refinery, which, like I said, okay, let's do a bit of background to that matter. When he was floating that refinery, he budgeted $15 billion. But at the end of the day, by the time he's running off that refinery, by the time the refinery started producing a liter of petrol or diesel, the investment made on that refinery has jacked up to $20 billion. And I tell you, Dangote raised that money from lenders from across the world. Remember that while laws around unionism and all that, labor law are binding on even private entrepreneurs, the weight being binding on private entrepreneurs or enterprises will be different from the way to be binding on the Nigerian government, on the public enterprise. Remember that nobody has 1 naira. Those that are talking, nobody has 1 naira in this private. Despite the fact that we will understand that we can call for unionization, in as much as they have not been able to establish a fact that Dangote is going against the welfare of those workers. You understand? It is still something that is debatable as far as I'm concerned. Nigerians should, but the crux of the matter, as far as I'm concerned now, is that Nigerians should not now be punished because of the fact that the private person is not, allowing tanker drivers to unionize. Nigerians shouldn't be popular. So it doesn't make sense if you want to fight a wrong with another wrong. If they want to now, ground the Nigerian economy through that strike by ensuring that fuel is not the top, so who will now pay for it? Is it going to affect Dangote? Is it going to affect, people that are above the ladder? No, it will affect common Nigerians. And that is why we need to now call on them to think twice about that action. Because if you want to actually use an action to correct someone, at the end of the day, that action doesn't, even affect that person, it's affecting other people. You need to critically think about that.
But really, if the truck drivers don't participate, I don't know if the strike notice from NUPENG will still carry weight anyway. But then let me go to my next question. What could this really mean for the future of unionization in the oil and gas sector, especially with the rise of CNG trucks?
Okay, fact will remain that with the deregulation of the Nigerian downstream sector, the wings of a lot of people have been cut short. And that has to be realized. The earlier a lot of people realized a lot of things, that followed that deregulation, the earlier they realized a lot of things that followed the signing into law of the petroleum industry bill into an act now, the better for them. I remember that before now, like I highlighted at the early stage of this program, unionism was number one when it comes to oil and gas industry. But with this deregulation, with the signing of the PIA, with the active participation of private enterprises and entrepreneurs, we need to realize the fact that unionism, even though it will continue, it won't be like it was before now. That's a fact that you see. That's a fact that every unionist, particularly in the oil and gas sector, should internalize. Now, the approach they should be using now will be to properly review and do more of engagement. Of course, engagement is allowed to unionism. Engage, communicate more. Unlike trying to say you're going to grant the Nigerian economy. If you want to grant Dangote, remember that Dangote is not the only participant in this. The industry has been deregulated. If you say you are not going to work, other people will work because now even the IPMAN, the moment all the major marketers association now realize that nobody can dictate what is happening now. The market is now going into that free market, even though we are not yet there yet. The market is going into that free market where the only thing that will be the driving forces or driving force will be it will be the supply and the demand. That will be in between the price. So those will be things that will be determining the price in henceforth. Though unionism will still play active role because there's no way you talk about an industry like the oil and gas industry without talking about the workforce that is driving it. But fact remains that the era of the union blocking everywhere, the union grounding the economy, I think is going to an end. If not now, I think it's fast going to an end. And I think it's best now for the unions or the unionists to re-strategize. There are other ways that their voice or their voices will be heard even louder than before. That will not be to the disadvantage of Nigeria, because they need to think twice about this action. If they go ahead, Nigerians that will suffer this will be the downtrodden. Nigerians that will suffer this will be those that they are not even targeting, to correct with this action. If immediately they do this, immediately this, takes effect. If it takes effect today, thank God that the presidency has waded into it. If it takes effect immediately, you see that the bus drivers will have their price immediately. And remember, this Dangote and even people that they are targeting with this action don't enter public. Their family members don't enter public transport. Immediately, the bus driver, hikes his price. The marketers that are conveying their products hike their price. And at the end of it, it's going to affect inflation. And anytime we talk to inflation, we shouldn't forget it affects a section of the Nigerian society more than other sections of society.
Absolutely. But one thing we've seen is that NUPENG has historically been one of Nigeria's most powerful unions. How damaging is it for them that the tanker drivers, which happens to be a vital arm, are publicly rejecting their strike call?
Okay, fact remains that the PTD, which is the Petroleum Tanker Driver, is a section of the NUPENG. For the sake of clarity, we have two strong unions in the oil and gas sector: the PENGASAN, Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, then the NUPENG, Nigerian Union of Petroleum, Gas and Gas Workers. So the NUPENG is the one that's the umbrella body for the junior staff and the supporting staff in the oil and gas value chain. And that is where the Petroleum Tanker Drivers Association comes in. So for the sake of clarity, PTD is a section of NUPENG. Okay, so now when I saw the statement from NUPENG, I knew that it would be a case of PTD, Petroleum Tanker Drivers members, taking their case to the mother body to, project to Nigerians. Now that the PTD, because like you rightly said, the grounds for the NUPENG strike action plan is because they want the tanker drivers to be, the tanker drivers in Dangote's fleet to be unionized. And when the tanker drivers are saying that they have no hands in it, it seriously weakens that, if that is correct anyway, if that is true, if tomorrow we will not see another, statement to debunk that, if that is true, you actually know that, he has dug a serious hole in the heart of this NUPENG plan to go on strike. And like I said earlier, because the private enterprise that is involved, you would not expect a Dangote to sit back without even trying to engage or lobby even members of NUPENG or BTG to if that will serve its purpose. I'm not saying it's doing that, but fact remains that if you were to be government now, you will see that it's going to be very strong. The strike action is going to be very strong, and the rank and file of NUPENG will be very difficult to break through. But because the private enterprise that has money to pay, that have debtors they have a lot of debt that is servicing, it will not sit back. And remember that part of what it's trying to do by importing 10,000 is not a small figure, 10,000 trucks into the country is to ensure that anytime PTD or NUPENG is going on strike, it doesn't affect its business. And now, what they are now going to do now is to even show it clearly to Nigerians that the power that they wield or they wielded before now is fading away.
Dr. Yusuf, do you see a possibility that, some external players, maybe the government, maybe regulators, maybe the labor ministry, or even the man himself, do you see a possibility that there are some external players fueling this division?
Okay, facts remain that as someone that has been following this industry, I love to hack or to react on things that are concrete. If I want to say anything on that, I'll be slipping into suspicion. I'll be slipping into things that I cannot prove, because fact remains that if I answer that question, that I agree that you are likely to ask me to name names of people that I will be suspecting. And fact remains that it is better to make a comment on things that we are able to prove. So it is not to say that I'm ruling it out that can't be external forces, but fact remains that we can see that partakers in this will be NUPENG, will be PTG, will be Dangote Refinery, and the presidency that's intervened. But in all that, what is paramount in my own mind is to ensure that anything that anyone will do that will be against the interests of the masses, Nigerians, I need to speak against it. And that is why I'm saying it emphatically with that missing word, that the action by NUPENG, the plan action by NUPENG, is not going to be to the benefit of anybody. And when I say anybody, let me contextualize any Nigerian except their own. And anytime they want Nigerians to support them, they need to put the interests of Nigerians, number one in whatever administration we want to buy.
Right. And, it's quite interesting that the tanker drivers called the strike notice, they called it, quote, insensitive, callous, and unacceptable. And they've also insisted that dialogue is the way forward. Obviously, they should meet today. Do you see negotiations happening quickly enough to avert any form of disruption?
Okay, fact remains that what is going to happen will be negotiation. Remember, the First World War, the Second World War, after the war, they now went back to roundtable. And that is the most unfortunate about violence. That's the most unfortunate about conflict. Because no matter how terrible a conflict it is, no matter how tough a conflict is, no matter how the number of casualty or fatality in a conflict, unfortunately, it will still end on a round table. So it's always good to jaw before we war. So it's always good that negotiation comes first before all this. From observation, there has never been a time that NUPENG has called for negotiation. So now they are negotiating. I'm aware that a talk is ongoing, and it is going to be in their best interest to think very well during that negotiation, because they are going to expose to Nigeria more how fragile or how weak the Petroleum Industry Act or the deregulation of the dance sector has made their position or their strike action to be. No Nigerian will support them this time around. I saw a press release from NLC, but what NLC is trying to do is to just speak their Luta language, or to do the spirit they call. But fact remains that members of the family of people in NLC will be the ones to suffer this if they support it. And fact remains again that it is better for them to review their approach to things now before it's too late. The approach to things that they want to block the street, they want to go on strike, down tool, and all that will not work any longer because the game has changed now. So, good that they are going into this negotiation, but it's to know that as they are going into this negotiation, no Nigerian will henceforth support any action that will be to their detriment. Nigerians are already buying the fuel at the international quoted price. We are buying close to 1,000 naira. So we are not listening to anybody that wants to now make life difficult for us, because what will now be the advantage that they want to say Nigerians will benefit from at their strike action? If Dangote has not allowed them to unionize, they need to sit down with Dangote. It's a private enterprise. Nigerians shouldn't suffer because Dangote has refused. A private entity has refused to allow people that are working for him to unionize. What they will need to do is to just sit on the table and sort that out.
Right. And then you've been following this industry for a while now. Really, what should the government, what role should the government be playing right now? Should it be the mediator? Should it be the enforcer? Or should it just be an observer?
Okay. There is no way government will not mediate. It is mediation role that is best. And we will see that government is already playing that role. It is an industry that is regulated now. Through the Eagle Square Declaration of May 29, 2023, government has no direct, and government is participating in this value chain as a regulator, then as a participant through the a competitor through the NNPC. You understand? So government cannot enforce everything at this moment. You can't enforce it on Dangote. And I don't believe government can enforce anything on people working for Dangote. You understand? So what the government will just do is to protect the interests of Nigerians by, mediating in this and not allowing it, to go into a full-fledged, conflict. Allow me to use that word, that will now affect Nigerians that are already trying to manage, the resources at their disposal.
Yeah, Dr. Yusuf, we are out of time now, but as we look ahead, are you seeing a compromise, or do you think that we might likely be heading towards a full-blown labor showdown?
There won't be a labor showdown as far as I'm concerned. And the reason is, from what you have read out, from what the information in the public domain, NUPENG is factionalized, or is fractured now with the statement by statement credited to PT, Petroleum Tanker Drivers, that action called by NUPENG is callous and unreasonable and all that. So that one shows that it can't go far. One. Number two, the industry, which is the major thing itself, the industry is deregulated. If they are doing an action against Dangote, Dangote is not the only participant in the oil and gas industry. So the workers in Dangote can hold Dangote to ransom. But even if they are stopping fuel distribution for Dangote, there are other filling stations, there are other partakers, there are other members, marketers association that are importing the fuel. So what they will just do is stop Dangote, but that will not stop Nigerians from buying the fuel, because the promise has been made and everyone has, even reluctantly, been buying the product at a very, very high rate. Remember that the price jumped from around 178 naira or below 500 naira to close to 1,000 naira now. There was a time we even bought over 1,000 naira. So the market is deregulated now. The labor action against Dangote cannot affect everybody, and it cannot even, as far as I'm concerned. So it's best in the interest of Dangote. It's best in the interest of business return on investment for Dangote to listen to them, and it's best in the interest of Nigerians for them too, and in the interest of the salary that they will be collecting to listen to Dangote. So government has called them to a round table. It is in their best interest to make sure that they're coming out to that round table, smiling and going back to work for Nigerians to keep running the way it's running.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Adeola Yusuf, energy policy analyst and also the team lead at Platform Africa. Thank you for joining us this morning.
I'm very grateful. Thanks for having me.
Enjoy the rest of your day. Up next is social listening. Do stay with us.